You know that feeling, right? That
Hmm.
physical thing that happens when something sets you off.
Mm.
Maybe your shoulders get all tense, your jaw clamps down,
Yeah.
your heart starts pounding, and there's this, like, heat rising in your chest, almost like you're literally about to boil over.
Oh, absolutely. That internal pressure cooker sensation.
Exactly. It could be, that driver who just swerved in front of you, no signal.
A classic trigger.
Or maybe it's just a comment
Hmm.
from someone you care about, but it lands wrong, feels like a real jab.
Hmm.
Or even just scrolling through the news feed and bam, that familiar just surge of outrage about something happening out there.
That feeling of rage, yeah, like your blood pressure is just shooting up.
And you feel genuinely on the edge, like you could lose it.
Yeah.
It's powerful,
It is. And it's incredibly common. You are definitely not alone if you feel that way.
really.
Oh, yeah. Surveys show it again and again. A lot of people feel enraged pretty frequently. It's not some, strange thing. It's a very real, often disruptive part of life for many.
Right. And I think maybe because it feels so intense, and let's be honest, sometimes when people do let it rip, it gets messy or hurtful.
True.
We seem to have gotten this really strong message from society, haven't we? That being angry is just bad, inherently bad.
Yes, that it's a character flaw.
Yeah. Like feeling it means you're flawed, or expressing it makes you a hothead, or you've got issues.
Right. It's often framed as a lack of control or emotional instability.
And that whole vibe just teaches us to feel, what, shame, guilt, just for having the emotion in the first place. We end up apologizing for it or trying to hide it.
Precisely. And that cultural conditioning pushes us mainly towards one strategy: repression.
Just shove it down.
Shove it down, bury it deep. Because we've learned to see it as negative or unacceptable, maybe even dangerous. We actually learn to fear our own anger.
What if that whole message, or at least how we interpret it, is just fundamentally wrong?
Hmm.
What if anger isn't this, like, enemy we have to fight or suppress constantly?
Hmm.
What if it's actually normal, maybe even healthy? Like it has a purpose, a really critical, protective one.
That's a key shift in
Yes.
perspective.
Maybe the real challenge isn't the feeling itself, the anger. Maybe it's what we do with it, how we manage that energy.
The response.
Because unexamined anger, uncontrolled anger, poorly expressed anger, that seems to be where the real damage happens, right?
Absolutely. That's where we see the negative consequences.
It takes a serious toll on our physical health, stress-related stuff,
Mm.
our mental well-being, anxiety, depression, and maybe almost obviously our relationships. It just wreaks havoc, creates conflict, distance.
That's exactly right. From a psychological view, anger itself isn't inherently destructive. It's the mismanagement of it.
Mismanagement, okay.
Learning to work with this incredibly powerful emotion, understanding its message, channeling its energy, rather than just reacting against it blindly or letting it swamp you. That's the key. Developing that understanding, those skills, that transforms its potential impact.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive then.
Hmm.
We're going to look at insights from, well, different places, research, psychology, practical guides, expert views.
Bringing it all together?
Yeah, to really get a better handle on anger than maybe we ever have. Let's move past that simplistic anger is bad idea. Find ways to deal with it positively, express it constructively, channel that energy into something useful instead of letting it just build up and explode, hurting ourselves or others.
Sounds like a plan. Let's unpack it. Find that shortcut to handling anger wisely.
All right. Where do we start? Understanding anger itself.
Let's start right there. At its absolute core, anger is just a fundamental human emotion. It's part of our basic toolkit, like joy, sadness, fear.
Just another feeling,
Exactly. And think of it mainly as a signal. It's trying to tell you something.
like an alarm bell.
Sort of. It signals displeasure or a perceived violation, maybe an injustice. Something feels fundamentally wrong or threatening.
Okay, a signal. And like our other core emotions, this signal system is like baked into our biology, right? It has a purpose, historically, for survival.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Deeply rooted. Its primary job, evolutionarily speaking, was protection.
Protection. How so?
Well, think about our ancestors. If they didn't feel anger when threatened, or if someone tried to take their food or crossed a critical boundary,
They wouldn't react.
they wouldn't have that internal drive, that energy to defend themselves, to speak up, to fight for what they needed, or set those boundaries to stay safe. It's a built-in survival tool.
That makes complete sense when you put it like that. It's like an internal alert. Hey, threat, boundary cross, something's wrong, pay attention, maybe act.
Precisely.
But okay, the sources we looked at also talk about different kinds of anger.
Yeah.
Or maybe layers. It's not just one single thing.
No, it's definitely more nuanced. While the feeling might just register as anger, understanding where it's coming from is really important. There's a useful distinction often made between what we can call core anger and defensive anger.
Okay, core anger versus defensive anger. What's the difference?
Core anger is that more direct, maybe primal response to a genuine violation or threat.
Like a real immediate danger.
Could be physical, yeah. Or a character assault, feeling truly wronged, treated unfairly in a clear way. This is the anger that signals, hey, a boundary was just crossed, and it gives you the energy, the impetus to push back, protect your space, your rights.
So if someone's unfairly ripping into my character, that immediate feeling of being attacked and wanting to stop them, that's probably core anger.
That's a good example, yes. It's often a healthy response to an actual threat to yourself or what's yours.
Okay, then what's defensive anger?
Defensive anger. Well, this often acts more like a cover, a shield.
A shield. For what?
For other emotions, often more vulnerable ones that feel too difficult or maybe too painful or just unsafe to feel directly.
Ah, okay. Like what kind of feelings?
Things like deep shame, intense fear, maybe fear of abandonment or rejection or failure, even fear of dying or profound grief or just sheer terror.
Wow. Okay, this is getting complex. So the anger we see maybe in ourselves, maybe in others, sometimes isn't even the main feeling.
Exactly.
It's a reaction to something else, something deeper, more vulnerable that we're trying to dodge.
Precisely.
Like getting absolutely furious because my partner forgot something important.
Yeah.
But underneath, the real feeling is maybe hurt or feeling unimportant or afraid they don't care enough.
That's a perfect illustration. Defensive anger is often an unconscious strategy to avoid that underlying pain. It can feel, well, safer or more powerful to be angry than to feel hurt or scared. And this idea loops right back to that problem we mentioned earlier, society telling us to bury anger.
Right, push it down.
Because our culture often teaches us vulnerability is weakness and anger is disruptive, so we learn to suppress both. But, as the sources really emphasize, ignoring or burying emotions, it just doesn't work. They don't disappear.
They just operate underground.
Exactly. They operate in the shadows. And they tend to come out sideways.
Sideways. I like that description. What does that look like?
Well, when anger isn't acknowledged, processed, and expressed in a healthy way, it finds other outlets, often unhealthy ones. Internally, that buried energy can show up as all sorts of psychological or physical symptoms.
Like what?
We see strong links to things like substance abuse, using alcohol or drugs to numb out.
Makes sense.
Or it can contribute to disordered eating, chronic depression, or getting stuck in these awful cycles of rumination.
Just replaying things over and over in your head.
Yes, constantly replaying grievances, injustices without any resolution, just stewing.
So the anger's still there, just festering inside.
Exactly, eating away at you. And then there's the external stuff, the acting out.
The explosions.
Yeah. When the pressure cooker finally blows but without any control or direction, storming off mid-argument, cutting people out of your life abruptly, like canceling them without trying to talk or resolve anything. Or even physical aggression, punching walls, throwing things, volatile behavior. These actions, they aren't really about expressing the feeling of anger constructively. They're often just defenses against having to actually feel the raw, uncomfortable internal sensation of the anger itself.
So burying it builds pressure, and the release is either imploding inwards, depression, addiction, self-harm, or exploding outwards, outbursts, aggression, damaging relationships. Neither sounds good.
Not at all. That suppressed energy will find an escape route, and without conscious direction, those routes are usually damaging. Which really highlights why the old advice to just don't be angry or just calm down is so insufficient.
It misses the point.
It only addresses the surface expression, not the underlying feeling or its purpose.
Okay, so anger, normal, protective signal, suppressing it, bad, leads to problems.
Right.
That naturally leads to thinking there must be a better way.
Yes.
And that's where constructive anger comes in.
Precisely. This is a really critical distinction to make. We need to separate destructive anger, that volatile, pent-up, explosive, lashing out type, from constructive anger.
Okay.
And the difference isn't necessarily the intensity of the feeling. You can feel intensely angry and still be constructive.
Really?
Yes. The difference lies entirely in how you choose to express and channel that energy.
It's about the direction then, where you aim that energy.
Exactly. Constructive anger is absolutely not about suppression. It's about acknowledging the feeling fully when it pops up, understanding what it's signaling, what boundary got crossed, what need isn't met, what injustice you perceive,
Okay.
and then consciously deciding where you want that energy to take you. using the anger as fuel for a step-by-step process towards a desired outcome, guided by the insight the anger gave you.
That sounds potentially really powerful. If anger gives us energy and gets us ready for action, channeling it constructively could be like an engine for positive change.
It really can be. And research actually backs this up in fascinating ways. Studies link constructive anger to something called approach-related motivation.
Approach-related motivation.
Yeah. In psychology, we often talk about behavior being driven by two main forces. Moving towards things we want, that's approach motivation, or moving away from unpleasant or threatening things, avoidance motivation.
Approach versus avoidance. Got it.
Right. Now, what's interesting is how emotions map onto this. Things like sadness and fear are often linked to the brain's right frontal cortex, which is associated with withdrawal, avoidance, pulling back.
Sure.
But anger, even though it feels negative, often shows strong activation in the brain's left anterior cortex and that area. Strongly linked with positive approach behaviors, moving forward, taking action, pursuing goals.
Wow. So anger isn't just about wanting to smash things. Biologically, it can actually prime us to act and move forward.
That's the potential, yes. When it's harnessed constructively, anger provides this surge of energy specifically for taking action towards goals. It can literally help us survive by motivating us to overcome obstacles.
Yeah.
It provides motivation not just to react defensively, but to proactively address the issue. And this process can actually create a sense of optimism and control.
How so?
Because you feel empowered to tackle the problem instead of feeling paralyzed by fear or hopelessness.
So it shifts from a reactive explosion to proactive fuel.
Precisely. That channeled energy can lead to real self-improvement. You use it to push through challenges or change situations that just aren't working for you anymore.
Okay.
And maybe surprisingly, when it's handled well, constructive anger can actually increase cooperation.
Increase cooperation. How?
By clearly and assertively stating your needs and boundaries fueled by the anger signal, remember, you open the door for real negotiation and problem solving, instead of slamming it shut with aggression or passive aggression. Plus, it boosts your emotional intelligence because you're learning to understand, process, and strategically use a really complex and powerful emotion.
That completely flips the script on anger just being destructive. Can you give us a concrete example, like how might this play out in the real world?
Sure. A really common one is the workplace. Imagine you feel this intense surge of anger towards a colleague, maybe your boss.
Okay.
Maybe they took credit for your work or gave you unfair criticism, or you just had a really frustrating, disrespectful interaction. In that moment, the anger hits, the impulse can feel overwhelming, maybe explosive.
Yeah, the urge to just fire off a nasty email or say something unprofessional.
Exactly. Lash out, maybe storm off, which usually leads to regret, damaged relationships, maybe even professional trouble.
Right.
But instead of acting on that raw impulse, you recognize the feeling, okay, I'm angry right now. Maybe you take a beat step away, walk around the office, take some deep breaths. We'll get more into those techniques.
Create some space.
Create space. And then, crucially, you channel that energy. You don't aim it at the person destructively right then. Instead, maybe you use that heightened focus, that energy, on your work.
Redirect it.
Redirect it. Tackle that tough project you've been putting off. Put extra effort into prepping for a meeting. Or use that motivated state to carefully plan how you'll constructively address the situation later. Maybe schedule a calm conversation or involve HR if needed.
So the energy isn't wasted or destructive, it's put into something productive.
Precisely. And what often happens, you might get a burst of productivity, you feel a sense of accomplishment from using the energy well, and importantly, you can then address the original problem from a calmer, more strategic place later on.
So the anger wasn't ignored, and it wasn't unleashed destructively.
It was converted into productive energy, aimed at a positive outcome, doing your job well, protecting yourself professionally, and then dealing with the root cause effectively when you're ready. That's constructive anger in action.
That's a really powerful reframe. Makes anger sound less like a problem and more like potential energy.
Raw potential, exactly.
So if channeling it constructively is the goal, how do we actually do that? Especially when that temper starts to flare up, you feel that biological surge. It feels so hard to keep it in check in the moment.
It absolutely is challenging. It takes practice, consistency. It's not like flipping a switch. But there are definitely practical strategies, simple tips you can use both right in the heat of the moment and afterwards to help stay in control and use the emotion well.
Okay.
It often starts with immediate steps to just calm the physical response and create a bit of breathing room.
Okay, let's break those down. What's the first line of defense when you feel that surge?
First, and this sounds deceptively simple, but it's incredibly hard when you're furious, think before you speak.
Pause.
Pause. When you're gripped by intense anger, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain for judgment, foresight, self-control, it's basically offline.
Right. Not thinking clearly.
Not at all. It's almost guaranteed you'll say something hurtful, unfair, something you'll regret later. Force yourself. Take 10 seconds, 30 seconds. Just pause before you respond verbally. Collect your thoughts.
And it probably helps the other person too.
Absolutely. It gives them a chance to pause as well. It can de-escalate things right there.
Okay, conscious pause button. What's next?
Second, and closely related, take a break. A timeout.
Like for kids.
It's not just for kids. Stepping away physically from the situation, even briefly different room, go outside, just walk away from the immediate conversation.
Create distance.
Physical and emotional distance, it helps you regain some composure. You feel better prepared to handle things without being totally swamped by the anger. And use that time away purposefully. Figure out not just what you're feeling, but what you actually want to achieve or communicate once you're calmer. What's the goal here?
Get out of the pressure cooker environment. Makes sense.
Third, tapping into that physical energy we talked about. Get some exercise.
Move your body.
Yes. Physical activity is fantastic for reducing the physiological stress that fuels anger. It helps burn off that intense, agitated energy. When you feel anger rising, maybe sitting still and deep breathing isn't the first step. Maybe you need to move.
Right. I definitely feel sometimes the need to just pace or something.
It's your body's fight or flight kicking in. Exercise is a safe way to satisfy that physical urge without actually fighting someone. A brisk walk, a run, jumping jacks, hit a punching bag if you have one. Anything enjoyable that gets you moving helps metabolize that adrenaline.
Okay, move it out. What else?
Fourth, alongside movement are the active mindful breathing and relaxation techniques. When your temper flares, you need tools to actively signal your nervous system to calm down.
Okay.
Deep diaphragmatic breathing is key. Slow, deep inhales, even slower exhales. You can try visualizing a relaxing place, repeating a calming word like easy or relax to yourself. Listen to music, gentle yoga, stretching. These things counteract the stress response, help you shift gears.
Deep breaths, visualization, self-talk.
Yeah.
Calming the system.
Exactly. Bring you back towards baseline. Now, sometimes the anger is really intense, raw, primal almost.
Yeah.
And in those moments, those gentler, calming techniques might not cut it right away. You might need to discharge that raw physical impulse first. This is where more active physical release can be helpful before you try to calm down mentally.
Physical release, like what does that involve? Punching a pillow?
That's one example the sources mention, yes. Safely channeling that intense energy, airboxing. Yelling, but privately, like into a pillow, so you don't alarm or hurt anyone. Ripping up paper.
Ripping paper. Okay.
Throwing soft things safely, like pillows onto a bed. Intense bursts of exercise, sprinting, biking hard uphill, lifting weights. Even, interestingly, vigorous cleaning.
Cleaning, really?
One source points out it can be surprisingly effective. You're channeling significant physical energy into something productive, moving, scrubbing, lifting. Plus, it gives you activity and some space to think while your body's occupied.
Oh, never thought of that.
The absolute key with any physical release is safety. It must not cause harm to you, others, or property. It's purely about discharging the physical energy of the anger impulse safely.
Okay, so we've got these immediate tools.
Mm-hmm.
Pause, step away, move, breathe, maybe safe physical release for intense moments.
But that's just managing the flare-up, right?
Exactly. That's first aid.
The deeper work is understanding and processing it, which takes more time.
Absolutely crucial. If you only ever calm down, you're just putting a lid back on the pot. You haven't dealt with what's cooking inside. You need to understand why you got angry. Address the root cause.
And that often means looking under the anger.
Yes. As we discuss, anger is often a secondary emotion. It's a reaction, a cover for something more painful or vulnerable underneath.
The defensive anger shielding something else.
Precisely. So a fundamental step once the initial heat has died down and you're calmer is to try and identify the feelings behind the anger. Ask yourself, okay, besides angry, am I feeling hurt, rejected, embarrassed, scared, helpless, maybe deep sorrow?
Digging deeper. Understanding those underlying emotions is far more useful than just staying stuck on, I'm angry. It gets you closer to the real source of your distress, what actually needs your attention.
It's like asking, what's my anger protecting me from feeling right now?
That's a great way to put it. Anger is a signal, and the real message often isn't the anger itself, but the vulnerability it's guarding.
Okay. What's another processing step?
Second, and this can be tough, consciously work on changing your perspective. When we're angry, our viewpoint gets incredibly narrow, often tunnel vision focused only on the offense and how we were wronged.
Taking it personally.
Very personally. But often, especially with people close to us, their actions weren't necessarily aimed at hurting you. Maybe it was accidental, thoughtless because they were stressed, maybe even a reaction to their own pain.
So stepping back from "they did this to me."
Yes, asking questions like, was this really meant to harm me? Could there be another explanation? Did my own actions play any role here? It takes self-awareness, maybe some humility, but it broadens your view beyond just feeling attacked. It can lessen the anger's intensity by offering alternative interpretations.
It moves you out of just being the victim.
Right. Third tool for processing, mindfulness. We mentioned mindful breathing for calming, but mindfulness is a broader practice. Being present without judgment is powerful for processing after the surge.
How does that work with anger?
It helps you to fully feel the anger and those underlying emotions in your body and mind, not just talk about them or intellectualize them.
Fully feeling uncomfortable stuff. Sounds, well, uncomfortable.
It is. And that's often why we use defensive anger to avoid that very discomfort. But we know burying it doesn't work. Mindfulness lets you sit with the feelings, observe them, without needing to immediately act or push them away.
Just notice them.
Notice them. This lets you receive the important information they carry, which is essential for making positive changes. It connects you to your real emotional state so you can respond with awareness, not just react.
Can you walk us through what a mindful anger practice might look like?
Sure. One approach described is finding a quiet spot. Start with focusing on your breath, just to ground yourself. Feel your feet on the floor, your body sitting. Maybe gently touch your arms or legs, just to connect with physical sensations.
Okay, grounding.
Then, consciously bring the triggering event to mind. Visualize it. Let the feelings arise naturally until you feel the anger start to build in your body.
Feel it physically.
Yes. Once it's present, acknowledge it. Silently or softly say, I am angry. Maybe try saying it different ways, loud, soft, fast, slow. Just notice how it feels. Then scan your body mindfully. What sensations are there? Heat, tension jaw, shoulders, gut, an impulse to move, clammy hands, shakiness. Just observe, no judgment.
And then look for the other feelings.
Crucially, yes. After noticing the anger sensations, consciously check, are there other feelings here? Hurt, fear, sadness, shame. Name those two. Feel hurt, I feel scared. Acknowledge their presence. Then maybe relax your posture a bit, take some slow, deep breaths, and just be with that complexity for a moment. It helps you tolerate and examine the anger's message and what's underneath before you react.
That sounds really insightful. And journaling, where does that fit in?
Journaling is huge for processing. Now, as some experiences suggest, it might not be the best for releasing that initial white-hot rage trying to write logically when furious is often pointless.
Right.
But it's fantastic, maybe one of the best tools for processing the anger after you've calmed down a bit or after some physical release.
So not writing in the rage, but about it later.
Exactly. Journaling helps you figure out the why. Explore triggers, see patterns, maybe connect current anger to past stuff. You can use prompts or just free write. Some even suggest unhinged writing.
Unhinged writing?
Yeah, basically writing absolutely everything that comes up, raw, unfiltered thoughts, even the mean or irrational stuff without censoring. The idea is to bypass self-judgment and get to the core feelings. You can always rip it up afterwards. Or use voice memos if writing feels hard.
Sounds like digging deep without being polite to yourself.
Kind of. The goal with journaling for processing is understanding, insight, finding solutions, maybe moving towards forgiveness. Not just venting endlessly or getting stuck replaying it. It turns the anger energy inward for analysis.
Okay. So calm the storm, understand the why underneath, using perspective shifts, mindfulness, journaling. Now, the crucial part, how do we actually express that understanding constructively? Communication.
Yes, this is the action phase, but action from a place of relative calm and clarity, not raw reaction. It's about asserting your needs, boundaries, concerns, now that you understand the why.
And the main principle is assertive communication.
Absolutely. Assertive communication means clearly, calmly, directly stating your needs, feelings, concerns. The key difference from aggression is doing it without intentionally hurting others, violating their rights, or trying to control them. It's respectful self-expression.
Standing your ground without attacking.
Precisely. And a core tool for this, especially with anger, is using I statements. Absolutely crucial.
I statements, why are they so important?
They avoid blame and defensiveness instead of starting with, you always or you never, which just makes people shut down or fight back.
Right.
You focus on your experience, how you feel in response to a specific behavior.
So instead of, you never help out, you're so lazy, it's
Yeah.
more like, I feel overwhelmed and frustrated when the dishes pile up because I feel like the workload isn't shared.
Perfect example. Or, I felt hurt when you made that comment about my idea in the meeting. Or, I was upset you were late because I started to worry. See, it focuses on your feeling linked to a specific action.
Much harder to argue with someone's feelings than an accusation.
Exactly. It reduces tension, opens the door for dialogue. But remember the earlier steps. Talk after you've calmed down and processed. Trying to have a serious talk while furious. Usually a disaster.
Wait until you're ready.
When you are ready, approach the person. Use those I statements. Talk about why you were upset. And try to stay on the current issue. Resist that huge temptation to bring up old stuff.
Keep it focused.
Keep it focused. And remember, communication is two-way. Assertiveness isn't just about talking, it's about listening effectively too. Trying to understand their side, even if you disagree.
Empathy.
Empathy. Openness. These skills are the antidote to those destructive patterns, like maybe aggressive yelling learned in childhood. Assertiveness helps you get your needs met without the negative fallout. It's effective, less stressful.
So it helps you achieve your goal without burning bridges.
Exactly. But a really important nuance here. Don't avoid all confrontations. While assertiveness isn't aggression, burying feelings and avoiding all difficult conversations is also harmful, like we said. Anger signals important concerns, boundaries crossed, needs unmet. Ignoring the signal means the problem just festers.
So face the issue, but do it assertively from that calm, processed place.
Exactly. Transform the anger energy from wanting to lash out or run away into motivation to engage and solve. And part of that is working towards solutions and finding middle ground.
Compromise.
Often, yes. Once you've communicated assertively, work together on the issue. Be realistic. You can't always change everything. Be flexible. Be open to concessions.
Right.
Really listen to their ideas, even if they sound crazy at first.
Look for common ground.
Look for common ground, and don't agree to big decisions or rules while emotions are still high. Give it time. Agree on solutions from a rational place. This turns potential conflict into growth.
Okay, so the path is calm down, understand the why, process it mindfully, communicate assertively with I statements, listen, find solutions collaboratively. That's quite a framework.
It is, but it's also really important to know that learning this is a skill. It takes practice, and sometimes the anger might be too intense or too deep-rooted to handle alone. Sometimes you need professional help.
Knowing when to seek help, that's critical.
Absolutely. If your anger feels consistently out of control, if it makes you do or say things you deeply regret often, if it's regularly hurting people around you.
Your relationships, your job.
Exactly. If it's negatively impacting major areas of your life on a regular basis, that's a strong sign you could benefit from support.
When it becomes a destructive force.
Yes. And there are good, structured approaches. Cognitive Behavior Anger Management Therapy, CBAMT, is one. Studies show these programs, especially with education about anger, significantly decrease aggressive behaviors like yelling or harsh words.
So therapy can actually change how the anger comes out, not just try to stop you feeling it.
Exactly. CBAMT helps increase control over the response and shift expressions towards constructive ones. A therapist provides a safe space to explore it all. Especially useful if the anger ties back to deeper issues like childhood experiences or trauma.
Addressing the roots, not just the symptoms.
Precisely. A therapist can help you process and release that trapped energy safely and effectively. It's a holistic approach.
Okay, let's pull this all together. We've talked about what anger is, why it's normal, why burying it is bad, calming techniques, processing strategies, assertive communication, finding solutions, and when to get help. How does putting all this into practice actually change things for someone?
Well, the biggest shift comes from that processing and understanding. Using those tools, looking underneath, shifting perspective, mindfulness, journaling, you fundamentally change your relationship with the emotion.
You're not just reacting anymore.
You move from being controlled by it to using its signal wisely. That powerful energy, instead of being destructive, becomes something you can consciously channel.
Taking back the reins.
And that empowerment directly helps you set healthy boundaries. Assert your needs respectfully. When you understand what your anger is telling you, boundary crossed, need unmet, injustice felt, you're equipped to communicate that clearly or take action yourself.
So anger, handled consciously, stops being just a problem and becomes a catalyst for self-advocacy, positive change.
Precisely. Anger, when integrated constructively, not suppressed or exploded, can fuel significant positive changes in your life, your relationships, your well-being. It gives you the energy and the signal to address what's not working, what's not supporting you. Using that energy not to destroy, but to build something better.
It definitely sounds like an ongoing practice, though, not a one-time fix.
Oh, absolutely. Like physical fitness or learning any skill. It takes consistent awareness, patience with yourself, repeated effort. You won't get it right every time, and that's okay. Progress, not perfection.
But the payoff sounds huge.
The benefits, better relationships, less internal stress, more emotional intelligence, a stronger sense of self, they are profoundly valuable, worth the effort.
This has been really eye-opening.
Mhm.
It seriously challenges that ingrained idea that anger is just bad.
It's about reframing that powerful natural energy, the core lesson. The problem was never the feeling itself, but how we respond to it. By actively using strategies, processing perspective, assertive communication, finding the underlying feelings, you gain the power to transform destructive potential into productive steps. Asserting your needs, resolving issues, improving your life, it's about making conscious choices when that powerful emotion hits.
That transformation.
Yeah.
That feels like the real goal. So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to consider after this deep dive. If anger is fundamentally a signal designed to protect you, pointing out when something's wrong or needs attention, what important message might your own unexamined anger be trying to tell you right now? And what positive change, what step forward could acknowledging and acting constructively on that message unlock in your life?